Yep. All right. Okay.
That was by yourself because you're
all
using.
right. You can do whatever you want to, man. Hey, everybody. This is Kanoshi Abominito here with another Project Console, episode 13. We do what we want. But before we get into our topics, may our panelists introduce themselves? Moot?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, all ages. This is Joy Lemonstar. Welcome you to Project Console. Welcome to 2022.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. It's 2022.
2022. Welcome to the future. It's now the present. I have nothing to say except yesterday I was caught in East Coast Snowmageddon. Yeah. What should have been? No. I had some business to tend to, so I was stuck. What should have been like on the longest end, 2-hour trip going back and forth became a almost 7 hour journey. And I was lucky; I didn't get caught in a snowbank or on the side of the road. But man, I passed a lot of people who were caught in a snowbank on the side of the road.
Oh yeah.
And
Right.
all the snow jokes in the world, I'm tempted to use.
Here in Virginia, there were some people that were stuck in traffic for because of a tractor trailer pileup, stuck in
Yep.
traffic for 24 hours.
Yep.
Mm.
Yep.
Yeah.
I live in Virginia, so yeah. I can't tell you the amount of people I found on Route 1, and I'm like in line with other vehicles, and people, like, there's one lane open, and people who, because a lot of people who live in Northern Virginia aren't from Northern Virginia. Like,
Yeah.
they're from other places that moved here, so they don't know how to drive in snow. So they see open lane, and they're like, I'm going to go down here and go past all this traffic. And seeing them having to dive out of the way and drive into a snowbank, trying to get around the long pileup, is hilarious. Well, it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
It's like, look, man, get in line, wait your turn, because we're all in traffic now.
Yeah. Well, aside from that, how's before we really dive into it, real quick, how was your holidays? How was your New Year's Eve?
Holidays are pretty neat, and New Year's Eve was kind of a slow burn there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, New Year's Eve is.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I've always hated New Year's Eve. I've always hated New Year's Eve. Well, I mean, when I was a kid, I hated New Year's Eve because it was like, after New Year's Eve, that's almost it. My vacation is over. Gotta go back to school.
Now that you're an adult, it's different.
Yeah.
Well, actually, ironically, I had a really good New Year's Eve. I had some friends over. We did not wait for the ball to drop. We instead played a nice, long Shadowrun tabletop session, and it was great. Because I didn't have to DM it, someone else did, and they are really descriptive in how critical roles go. You haven't lived until you've shotgunned a particularly vicious enemy Shadowrunner in the face with a shotgun. Just and get a critical hit. Man.
That's the
All I'm gonna say is
satisfying
this: watermelon.
right?
Watermelon. That's all I'm gonna say.
Watermelon.
Watermelon.
I thought you would go Bone Snap.
No. Their head exploded like watermelon. So
Yeah.
that was fun. Ate some really good food. Then New Year's, I did nothing.
Oh,
Like,
okay.
absolutely nothing.
Huh.
I just
I had-
watched movies.
I celebrated with my parents basically, and they got a bit of a tradition to go with the pina colada.
I didn't even do that. I just did absolutely nothing, and it was great.
Yeah, it's always nice when you get to lay around and not really have to worry about much of anything.
Well, if it helps, at least things were basically calm and peaceful. Except if you don't count the fireworks. Those people were shooting them off until 3 in the beeping morning.
Did I? Yeah, I watched a few fireworks, but where I live, I'm like near Quantico Marine Base, so I can literally just sit in my kitchen and watch the fireworks. But these are professionally done fireworks. These aren't like just crazy people.
That's how
fireworks.
that's how I got at my neck of the woods.
Yeah,
People that use fireworks of their own. And if anything, Red already got my fireworks joke.
yeah, it was kind of disgusting. But anyway, yeah, that's it. It was great. It was a quiet and enjoyable. Wasn't too bad.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, since we got that out of the way, my first topic is Megaten 5, or better known as Shin Megami Tensei 5, sold over 800,000 copies in the first few months of release, which is unprecedented. The previous version sold over 600,000 copies, but that was within a couple of years. So, there possibly could be a resurgence of hardcore JRPGs.
Whoa, man. Whoa, it's a bit premature.
Premature.
You put a very niche franchise on a very popular console. I would not be surprised if it didn't sell well. But remember, the last Megaten 4 came out towards the end of the 3DS's life cycle. Like certain games, you got to put them out either in the middle of a game's life cycle or towards like in the beginning. Because if you put them out later on, it just doesn't do that well. I mean, think about all the really awesome games that came out towards the end of the NES's life cycle because it was like in 91, 92.
I hate to pull this punch, especially
They just didn't do anything.
But one game actually was able to revive a handheld console for years to come. You know it, I know it, and we both can't deny it.
What game?
Pokemon. Pokemon.
Yeah, but that wasn't towards the end of the Game Boy's life cycle. That was in like the last, not even the last. That was in the middle of its life cycle. Like, look at the huge games that came. Like Little Samson came out in like 91, 92. Kirby came out towards the end of the NES's life. There's tons of games, great games on a technical level that came out towards the end of a console's life cycle that just, didn't really make it. They're now considered rare games. They're just certain games that they have to come out at the right time in order for a system to really in order for that game to take off, because there's no competition. Like, imagine if Final Fantasy, the very first Final Fantasy game, instead of coming out in like 87, 88, came out in 91. It wouldn't be nearly as popular. So, yeah. I'm not really surprised. I'm glad the game did well, but I'm not like, oh my god, this is a resurgence of the JRPG.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm glad it did well. I mean, like, here's the thing. I like the Megaten series. I think this one is slightly easier than Shin Megami Tensei 4, but both. I mean, the Megaten series has always been a little bit more difficult than Persona. Persona's more casual. The Megaten series more hardcore. So, it just depends on what you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I could never get into that series just for the fact that it's kind of it's pretty grindy, I tried playing Tokyo Mirage Session. It wasn't a bad game. It's just, you gotta be
really grindy.
You gotta work. You gotta really work for it. So
the problem with the Megaten series, and Persona has this too, is that you can't, like most RPGs, you can level up past your difficulties. In Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, you can't really even because I've played these games with cheats. Even if you cheat and give yourself super stats and level up and have the best weapons, there's still going to be fights where you have to use elemental weaknesses.
And take a punch to the face, right?
Well, you have to utilize type weaknesses and type strengths, so then even cheating, you're not really going to be able to roll through it. So the game is balanced differently than other RPGs. Like other RPGs, I'm having trouble in this dungeon. Okay, I'll just go outside the dungeon, grind a little bit, buy some better weapons, I'll be fine. That doesn't work in Shin Megami Tensei that well. You actually have to know, okay, this enemy has a weakness against wind, which means I need to bring in monsters that do wind-based damage. This boss does lightning-based damage. All the monsters I have who did wind-based damage have a weakness to lightning, so I have to have a monster that I can switch to that'll protect me against lightning, or even better, absorb lightning so it heals me instead of doing damage, or just negating it. So it's a lot more tactical in nature, and just grinding is going to help you. And for some people, that's just they don't want to play an RPG like that. I can understand it.
Yep.
Kind of bites that some people want specialized RPGs to be normalized, but I get that.
There's room for everything. There's room for hardcore RPGs like Shin Megami Tensei. There's room for more casual RPGs like Persona. There's rules for stuff that's more in the middle of the road. I think it all deserves to exist.
Yeah.
Except for games like Pokemon. I hate Pokemon. I'm joking. I'm being facetious. No, there's room for everything. There's room for everything. The more people who are gaming, the better it is for everybody involved.
Yeah. Hey, Mr. Red Fox, I noticed that you've been roboting a little bit.
What?
You've been roboting a little bit, unless it's on my end.
I don't know.
Hey, Joel, have you noticed anything?
Robotin? So
Let me
far,
just-
he hasn't been. So far, he has had a few posts, but
Now,
I
let me
robot.
jump out and jump back in real quick.
Okay. Hello?
No,
Yeah.
my mic is fine.
Okay,
No.
yeah, you sound better. It was on my end. Something weird was happening.
Okay.
All right.
No. Yeah. Sorry, I turned into a robot. If you could actually turn on that filter in Discord, that'd be an awesome feature. Like change people change their voices.
Yeah.
So, let's see.
Oh yeah, second topic is 007 got leaked out online. Well, it didn't actually get leaked out. The achievements got leaked, and it was a full 1,000 gamer score achievements, which is pretty rare for, because people were speculating that'd be like a, smaller game, like $20-$30. So there was this game that they were working on, a version of 007 that they were working on a few years ago for the 360, and one of the features is that you could be able to switch back between the 64 graphics and the new graphics, and there was I don't know if there still is, but there was a playable demo that was going around online, so you could if you had if you knew how to do this, you could set up an Xbox 360 emulator and play that demo. And it was canned because it was Nintendo, because of Nintendo, the project was shelved, but somebody found a bunch of achievements got leaked, and there's speculation that it could still come out, or it could just have been older code from the game that they were working on, or achievements that they were thinking about implementing before they canned the game. What do you guys think?
As everyone knows, I'm critical of Nintendo, but in this case, they're in the right because, when most people think of GoldenEye, they think of that N64 GoldenEye, right? They don't think of the GoldenEye remake made on the Wii where they swapped out Pierce Brosnan with Daniel Craig.
Yeah.
They think GoldenEye 64.
Yep.
I think everyone's seen those memes where some old man dad is playing with his teenage son. His son's kicking his behind in Halo, and the dad's like, "Okay, you don't know nothing about." He pulls out the N64 and puts in GoldenEye.
Well, yeah.
Classy.
You don't know nothing about this, Junior. Because for people in my age group, like Halo came later. Like Halo to me is like TMNT. What people a few years younger than me is like Power Rangers. Like that's Halo for me. Like people a few years older than me were into Thundercats and He-Man and stuff like that. So, I mean, if this is true, I'd be cool with it. I mean, you know, this is one of those few times where I'm like, it would be cool if Nintendo could work it out with Microsoft that they could, you know, make a GoldenEye 64, release it on the Xbox, and also have it come to the Switch. That'd be cool. A part of that is me being a bit biased because I do have an Xbox Series X, and I'm like, if it came to the Xbox, I could play it on that. I could play it on my Switch. If it came to Xbox, it probably also hit PC, so I could play it on PC. Because Halo was like, hey, you want to play a kind of sort of PC game experience on console? Here you go. But you know, like trying to go back and play Halo now, you realize how the performance, how that game was chugging to run. And you still played it because it was fun, you know, despite the performance. But to play a remake of that game with optimized code so that you don't have the notorious slowdown and frame skipping when there's a lot of action on the screen, I'd be cool with it.
Yeah. I didn't really grow up with GoldenEye like a lot of other people did. The big multiplayer game that I remember people talking about was Halo mainly, but I think at the time a lot of us were too young to play GoldenEye or just didn't really think about it because again I was in elementary school when the N64 came out. I was probably like, you know, of course, I was like 6 when it came out, and you know, I was about 8 or 9 when people were talking about it. So yeah, I know the history of GoldenEye. I know how it really made multiplayer games, or it kind of gave this idea that multiplayer shooters can work on consoles, because at the time it was like, oh, you can only play a shooter on PC, keyboard and mouse. But I mean, obviously even then the controls weren't exactly perfect, but you know, it was serviceable enough at the time that people really enjoyed the game. So
Yeah.
could it happen again? Probably not. I think this is just nostalgia juice. Hopefully it's a repackage nostalgic trip, you know, done right compared to some of the other repackaged nostalgic trips we've gotten in the past couple months. GTA Trilogy, ring a bell?
Yeah, I mean, you have to remember, and plus you have to remember, GoldenEye came out when Rare was like hit after hit after hit after hit after hit. Like Rare was unstoppable, man. Like Rare, I mean, almost if a Rare game came out on the N64, you knew it was going to be good.
Yeah.
You didn't have to ask questions. Is this going to be good? No, you just knew. Yeah, this is going to be fire. You know, Rare isn't like that anymore. But back in the day, that was Rare's claim to fame. So yeah, I'd be down with it. You know, they're like, yeah, we're releasing. Yeah, I'm cool. Do it. Especially if they make it like, you know, if they optimize the code so it runs better, and you know, give online multiplayer.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, optimize so that it's not as slow. Because if they do that, they could do the same thing with Perfect Dark.
Yeah.
which is on a technical level even better than GoldenEye. The only flaw I would say some people have is they don't like the idea that Perfect Dark. Some people are like, well, it's not GoldenEye and it has a female character, but I'm like, who cares?
Yeah, that's
Perfect
weird.
Dark is good too.
Yeah.
Like if you like GoldenEye, like if you like the gameplay of GoldenEye, and you're like, man, I just wish this was better optimized on the N64. Perfect Dark is like a better version of that.
Yeah, it's an original property too. So, anyway, anyway, is there anything else you guys would like to say about 007 before we move on to the next topic?
The only other thing I hope is if they do it, that they'll either keep Pierce Brosnan as James Bond for it, or give you the option to switch who you want. Because I don't want to play as Daniel Craig.
Yeah,
That's the reason I didn't really care about the GoldenEye remake. They're like, you can play as Daniel Craig. I was like, I hate Daniel Craig. I think he's the worst James Bond I've ever seen. After George Lazenby. I mean, before George Lazenby, because George Lazenby was terrible.
So I was about to say that for me, I still remember GoldenEye for the good stuff, and after once when seeing some of the remakes. Though also, I kind of hope that the new 007 movies would at least be better. So your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I guess. I just want it to be true because I want to play. Like, I mean, wouldn't it be great to play a first-person shooter that doesn't have a lot of microtransactions? Just goes back to old school where they actually put content in a game. Remember that?
Oh yeah.
And multiplayer that you don't have to worry about. Oh man, this person's gonna teabag you because they don't have teabagging in GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Who the heck would teabag in that?
I mean, you did have the ridiculous slappers where you just go around karate chopping people, but that was it. But yeah, that's it. That's all I want.
So Square Enix, this is why the title is "We Do What We Want." Square Enix put out a letter, decided to give everybody a nice little New Year's Day surprise. Lump of coal. They gave everybody a lump of coal. They gave people 2 lumps of coal. They gave them the first lump of coal during the Christmas season was we've announced that we're delaying our announcement. That was the first lump of coal because that was completely and utterly. Why would you?
An announcement for an announcement.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. That's retarded. That's crazy.
No, you had it right the first time. That is totally, as a pejorative, that is totally retarded.
Yeah,
you are absolutely right.
Yeah, it is. And then the second lump of coal was that, we know that you guys love to have fun with your little video games and your little chat rooms and all the other stuff. And we know how you feel about NFTs. We know that you're afraid of them. But see, we here at Square, we're not afraid of them because we know that this has the potential to make us a lot of make us a lot of money. Add more provide more fun for the end user. So we're going to continue looking into NFTs, and we are going to implement them in some way, shape, or form. And there's nothing you can do to stop us.
Well, that's where they're wrong. I can continue. I think we all can continue to do what we've been doing for years with Square Enix games, which is not to buy them. Because like the way this guy said it, it's like he's trying to convince himself.
I was about to say he's trying to convince himself that he could sell a lemon for over the retail price.
Like he's trying to convince himself. Like let's keep it real. The reason that all this stuff exists is because all these companies basically said to themselves, they said, "Hey, guy, we need to have like NFTs." Like in 2020, they heard NFTs were a thing, and they were like, "Hey," some CEO was like, "Yeah, NFTs. We get on that because people are making a lot of money with it, right?" That was the big thing.
Yeah.
If anybody knows Earth 2, this is kind of the same deal. And I have to wonder, when is Earth 2 going to be shut down for stupidity?
I don't know what Earth 2 is, but anyway, as I was saying, yeah, all of this is basically
I
just
need to give you a video for that one.
yeah, I've never heard of it. But all this stuff is just them. Um, it's just them trying to, because he said it. He's like, this is a way that we can make money without making video games. Because why would a video game company want to make video games in order to make money? I mean, it's just stupid. As you can tell, I'm being facetious. So like this is just them hearing a buzzword and thinking, hey, we can make money off of this.
Yeah.
That's all this is. This is them hearing a buzzword and thinking, hey, we can make money off of this buzzword. And that's all it is. It's buzzwords. It's a marketing buzzword. Okay? Because I guarantee if you asked Matsuda, I think that's his name, if you asked him, hey, what's an NFT? He probably could give you a general idea, but not a basic idea. And all this, like I said, is just it's just a way. It's just they're thinking of ways of making money without doing their job.
Yeah.
Like think about this: Square Enix, because of COVID, that's the excuse they're using. That's why their latest Final Fantasy has been delayed 6 months. Talking about it. But guess what? They had time to worry about NFTs.
Oh yeah, isn't that wouldn't? Of course, people don't often think, but when you think, it's like, wait a second. So last week they announced that they're delaying their announcement, for Final Fantasy 16, but then they go and turn around, pull an okey doke, and say, hey, we're thinking about implementing NFTs. So you're telling me that you had all this time to think about NFTs, but you did not have enough time to get your Final Fantasy 16 announcement up and running? Okay.
Yeah. And this is why people get mad at me when I say I'm tired of these companies treating me like I'm stupid. But I mean, wouldn't you be if someone came up to you, because remember, these companies produce a product for you to consume. In a way, they work for you. Okay? In terms of, being a customer, right? If someone was your employee and they had time to worry about some BS like this, because that's what it is, okay? And yet, they didn't have time to do their actual job, wouldn't you be like, you're fired?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Oh boy. Apparently Ubisoft, I think, is still, full speed ahead with their plan. EA is probably going to do something. Nintendo might tickle Nintendo at some point with Pokemon. Heck,
Maybe.
you know what? Let's just release a Pokemon trading card game for the Switch and for mobile, and use the cards as NFTs. And
yeah, but let's get our information right a little bit. Pokemon is like Nintendo has some controlling interest in the Pokemon company, but the Pokemon company is not Nintendo. Although, considering how Nintendo's basically been kind of like doing things that are very Nintendo-like of the last 30 years with the Switch, I wouldn't put it past them. If they did say we're gonna do something like an NFT, I wouldn't put it past them.
So the thing about NFTs that confuses me is like, what's stopping somebody from copying and pasting a particular idea? Is there an algorithm or a code that if you copy and paste a particular asset, the code just changes, so it's not a perfect copy of that particular asset or picture? Because or do they
Yeah.
not think that? Or do they not think that far ahead? 'Cause-
No. Each thing is unique.
Oh, okay.
Like if you have an NFT of like the cover of Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man comic. Okay, if you have an NFT of the original Spider-Man comic, even if you have another NFT of that exact same comic, there will be subtle differences in the digitization of that comic, so that it's not the same as the other one.
Oh,
And that's the whole point of an NFT. Like it's supposed to be like if art, like originally they were designed if an artist makes a commissioned piece, which is I mean like okay, the idea behind an artist making a commissioned piece. Let's say someone wants a copy of that commissioned piece. Like let's say an artist makes a version of Rastaman, Homer Simpson, okay, and then someone says, "Hey, I want a Rastaman Homer Simpson." And they make a copy of that. The whole point of the NFT was that your Rastaman Homer Simpson would look different from someone. Even if they looked functionally the same, on paper, like if someone tried to sell it, it would be different from someone else's version of Rastaman Homer Simpson. Which, I mean, I'm not against that. You know, if you buy something that's supposed to be unique, I'm not against someone having a unique signature on it. The problem is that these big companies think they can use NFTs along with blockchain in order to make money without doing their jobs, and that's where I have a problem.
Yeah, and
I was about
I
to
know.
say, NFTs are going to be ending up like these like these stars that are labeled to somebody's name, and the person that named them is not around to get that name anymore.
I mean, it's more like remember how Bethesda was like, we're gonna pay modders for their mods, and then it turned into some BS because you know big corporations taking care of something is always going to be some BS because corporations exist to make money. They don't care about what's right or fair. They want to make money.
Yeah.
And that's the issue. Like the idea behind NFTs, the idea of someone making a product, like something that's meant to be unique, like a like a product. The idea of them getting credit for it and it being a unique item, and the person buying it being able to say this is a unique item, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not against that. Like if I bought an art piece digitally, I would want to be able to say, okay, this is this artist's first thing. And it's worth something because the first one he made of X or she or they made, he, her, him, whatever. I'm not against that. But when corporations get involved, it just gets worse because corporations inevitably, with their greed, make things
I was
worse.
about to say, companies that are non-profit are always, profit based are always supposed to find a way to get in the green.
Yeah, they always make it worse.
Plucking from somebody's pockets.
Yeah, they always make it worse. That's basically what's been going on with, and that's why when the Square Enix CEO, everyone's like, "Oh, this is terrible." I'm like, it is terrible, but what did you expect? That's what. Look, has Square Enix made a real? When was the last really good Square Enix game you guys played?
That would be the Bravely Default series.
The first Bravely Default and Octopath Traveler.
Yep, I agree.
So,
The
yeah.
first Bravely Default, Octopath Traveler, the Bravely the second,
Bravely Second.
the one that came out that was like basically like we thought it was Bravely Default 2, but they just took that engine and just made another one basically. I wasn't really impressed with that game, but some people liked it. But those are all games that are made by studios that still kind of have that old school Final Fantasy, Chrono Trigger, like old school Square stuff feel. When was the last Square Enix like made by the new people who have taken over the company. Like, what was the last game you played from them that you enjoyed?
Ugh, oh, it's tough.
Exactly, and that's the problem.
Well, probably would have enjoyed Nier Automata if I wouldn't have. Well, until I figured out how dumb that story was.
Really? Because when I heard of Nier Automata, I was like, no one's waiting for another. Like, who asked for another? Sorry, not Nier Automata. I thought you meant The World Ends With You.
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Because no one was asking for a sequel to that game.
Well, the thing about Nier Automata is like, yes, world is interesting, the idea was interesting, and then, I looked up stuff about the story, and then it turned out to be anime friendship. It's like, really, really, this is what this all
They pulled a
comes up
Naruto.
to. Yeah,
They pulled a Naruto Shippuden.
they tried to wrap it in a bunch of like Nietzsche-esque philosophy to try to make it sound cooler, but I was just like,
It was really just the power of friendship.
the power of friendship. I was like, I can't play this game anymore. This is dumb. I'm so over the whole power of friendship thing.
I'm surprised because I'm the only one that could take it and actually say that some people are salty because of it.
Like, I mean, the reason I asked that admittedly leading question was because I basically just wanted to say that Square Enix is not what they used to be. Square Enix is not the same as Squaresoft.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They're not the same. The quality of their games went downhill.
Yeah.
I say it depends on the game, but I could agree.
Come on, Joel. Don't even say it depends on the game. You know good well that nothing Square Enix has released since they went from being Squaresoft has been at the same level as what they released when they were Squaresoft. That's not a dependent on the game. That's just a fact.
I was going to say, if you're going to name that way, I would say look at the some of the Dragon Quest games, and
that's Enix. That's not SquareSoft. I mean, that's not Square. That's the Enix half of that company. What have they produced as SquareSoft that's been like, yeah, this totally is what it used to be back in the day?
Because most people would say it's Square Enix, and I was at least saying that part. But if anything, I'm still waiting to know what the Square part is given out. But I at least say.
You could say Final Fantasy, but what good Final Fantasies have been released lately?
Unless you're into MMOs, that's about it.
Yeah, Dragon Quest XI was not the magnus opus that people were describing that game.
It wasn't terrible.
Yeah, it wasn't
because
bad.
Dragon Quest is never like god awful. Like I've never played how Final Fantasy 13 was just disappointing. No Dragon Quest has ever been that bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I've never played a Dragon Quest where I was like, man, this Dragon Quest is just like they need to take this and go on off somewhere.
Yeah.
But I haven't played a great. I would say the best Dragon Quest is that I've played of the modern era is maybe Dragon Quest VIII, but that was made when Enix and Squaresoft had merged together, so that's a good one. Dragon Quest IX is also pretty good. Never played Dragon Quest X because Enix followed that. Hey guys, let's make an MMO out of something that should be an MMO.
Kind of like their Riverside.
So, I don't know. But
yeah.
Like,
Return
they
to
haven't
Form,
released anything where I'm like, oh man, this is of the same level as what we had when we were kids. Like, have they released something that's on the level of, hey man, remember Final Fantasy VI? Remember Chrono Trigger? Remember Final Fantasy IV? Remember what else? Paper Mario? I'm not Paper Mario. Super Mario 64. Bahamut Lagoon, not Super Mario 64. Super Mario RPG.
Legend of the Seven Stars. Yeah, and
They haven't released anything at that level.
I was gonna say the only thing that's anywhere close to that would be something like the Bravely Default series, but that's pushy.
Bravely Default Bravely Default isn't terrible. I'll keep it real. Bravely Default is not terrible. It is not at that level.
I think
Okay.
closest thing to that in some sense.
It's like remember those commercials they had for those games made by the guy who's like, yeah, I worked on Final Fantasy VI and Chrono Trigger, and none of those games were. It's like, yeah, man, this is not nearly as good as those games. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's the reason why I said the only thing closest to it, but that could be put on a stretch, right?
Well, I mean, I would say the closest they come to it is Bravely Default. And even Bravely Default isn't at that same level. Like, really, once they fired Hironobu Sakaguchi, Square Enix went downhill. It's not the same. It doesn't have that same level of quality to their games. And they just don't have it. They just don't have it. They used to have it. They don't have it anymore. And so now they're like, oh, yeah, well, we can chase a trend, and it'll be awesome. And I'm just like, I'm offended.
Yeah.
Because they haven't made a good game in years. Like a truly good game.
No, definitely not a game worth that was on the level of Squaresoft and Enix as they both used to be.
No. They haven't made a game of that level in years.
No.
Years.
All the talent left and went other places. They either retired or started their own studios.
Or got ran out.
Or got ran out.
Which is what happened. I mean, they ran out Hironobu Sakaguchi.
Yep.
And let's keep it real. Has there been a Final Fantasy as good as the Hironobu Sakaguchi ones? Like, I don't think Final Fantasy VII is that good. It's better than Final Fantasy VII is better than any other Final Fantasy they've come out with since they got rid of them, though.
I played Final Fantasy X too before I played Final Fantasy 13. That's for sure.
I would, and I hate 10 too, but I'd rather play that than 13.
I was going to make the joke that you prefer the fan service of 10-2 over what happened with 13 and 15.
I would rather have that than Final Fantasy 13.
I mean, it was still a competent. I mean, as quirky as that game was, it was still a competent turn-based JRPG.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it had characters acting out of acting out of character. But I mean, anytime they do an RPG sequel, you're going to have characters acting out of character. I mean, unfortunately, that's just the way it is. That's, those are the breaks, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case, but it is. Because I mean, I've never look at the Paper Mario series. Every single Paper Mario series, like, Mario knows that Bowser is normally up to no darn good, and yet he will team up with him in a Paper Mario game.
Yeah.
Knows Bowser's is just useless.
Yep.
So, I mean, having characters act out of character isn't really that surprising. What is surprising to me is, at least to my person, is that they'll make a Final Fantasy. Is that they'll make 13 is terrible. 13-2, not quite as bad as 13, but in some ways it's worse because they had the nerve the temerity, the cojones. They had the cojones to add Chrono Trigger vibes to 13.
Yeah.
I'm like, how dare you, sir? How dare you?
I was about to say, wasn't that 13 too?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, 13 too.
Good to know, though. Ugh, how fun to remember that line.
But they did, because that's what you do in 13 too. It's like you're going to different timelines, you get a guest character who does some stuff. I mean, it's very like, okay, clearly you're trying to be like Chrono Trigger. But it just doesn't work because 10-2 is not at the same level as a Chrono Trigger. Because Chrono Trigger is actually good. Whereas 13-2 is not. I know that's quite mean of me. It's not as good.
Yeah, that was, 13 is a rough game. Like, first 2-3 hours of the game are just going down a straight corridor.
Yeah. I mean, they're just guiding you and guiding you. I'm like, why do you treat your... Did you notice that... I mean, just for me personally, I don't like when Square Enix treats me like I'm stupid.
They should have called it Final Fantasy Mystic Quest 2.
And had they done that, it probably would have been a better... And not connected it to, like, the straight-up normal Final Fantasies, it probably would have been a better game.
Yeah. Well, 2021 has passed. It is in the can.
Yeah, let's flush it.
and with that, we have some of the top stories. I figure we go over a few of the top stories that happened during 2021. So first on the dock, Microsoft not changing Xbox Live Gold pricing for free-to-play games unlocked. January 22nd, in the midst of the ongoing pandemic, Microsoft announced it was increasing the price of Xbox Live Gold. Within the new pricing structure, a one-year subscription would cost $120 USD compared to its current price of $60. A day later, following a community backlash, Microsoft revealed the reversed that decision. In addition to keeping subscriptions at their existing price, the company announced it was removing the gold requirement for free-to-play games. Any thoughts?
It's a good thing they did, though. I'm gonna say, how many replies of malicious vomits had they had to be served before they did the backpedal?
Well, the hilarious thing is that they had the nerve to charge people that ridiculous price, which just tells me that all this stuff that Xbox Live fans were bragging about, yeah, I pay $60 a year for gold, and I pay for this, and I pay for that. They've been gaming y'all. They've been taking advantage of y'all for years.
Yeah,
y'all got taken advantage of.
The thing about it is that people, even around during the time of the Xbox 360 era, because the PS3, Sony at the time was free, the Wii was free, and people were wondering, it's like, what in the heck is Microsoft offering? Because a lot of their games didn't use dedicated server. Like even their first party game, like Halo 3, I believe, was using peer-to-peer, and it's just kind of like, why are we paying like $50? At the time it was $50, and then they raised it to $60. Why are we paying so much money to do the things that we do online when your competition offers a lot of the stuff for free? And the thing about the 360, and I don't know if they still do this on the Xbox One, is they run a lot of ads for various different things like pizza or Monster or Mountain Dew or all sorts of different things, and it's just kind of like, why are we paying for this? You guys are running ads on Xbox Live anyway. This doesn't make
Because
any
Microsoft
sense.
was double dipping.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, honestly,
That's what it was.
honestly,
It was a double dip.
honestly, it comes down. It's like, well, if we can charge you $50-$60 a year because we can. I mean, that's
Yeah.
honestly what it comes
Plus-
down to.
Plus, we can make money with targeted ads from people who pay us to advertise to you while you're, doing etc. And that's what it was.
Yep.
I mean, we're seeing something similar from Nintendo with their online. I mean, we're gonna charge you $50 for this. And they'll pay it because what else are they gonna do? That's basically what it is.
It's all they got. Where else are they gonna play these games? 'Cause we're gonna shut down every ROM site there is. But all right, number 19. Report of GTA remastered trilogy. This is another the works, including for the Switch. The first report of Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, was published in mid-August. At the time, Kotaku claimed Rockstar was remastering GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas for PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Switch. As we now know, that report turned out to be accurate. Rockstar's official announcement can be found and down on our list. Yeah, we were. A lot of people were excited when they first heard that. Oh, the GTA trilogy is getting the remastered treat, and then what they got was a bunch of sour, moldy grapes.
We got a bag of doo-doo.
Yeah.
We got a bag of dog doo-doo. We got a bag of dog doo-doo. And, no one wants to say anything, but that's what it was. It was a bag of dog doo-doo that was lit on fire, and they pressed the thing, and they were like, yeah. But we should have known something was up when they didn't show any gameplay footage. Because every time they've released a remaster, they always were like really forthwith with what it was going to look like and stuff like that. This game, none of that. They were like, yeah, what are you going to do?
Yeah, and say what you want about the GTA franchise, but that's for a lot of people is at the top of their list for the 6th gen, or it's the GTA trilogy, whether that be GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, or Vice City, or 3, depending on which game you like the most. Like this was a franchise that was beloved, and to see it get treated the way that it got treated, man, that's gotta hurt. If you plop down $60 for all three, for that
Keep it
trilogy.
real. For me, it wasn't even the price. It was that they would do this to one of their the franchise that made Rockstar what they are. Yeah. They would give the key. That's like your parents. That's like your parents having a vintage Mustang, right? And they give the keys to someone who can't drive.
Yeah.
Or if they can drive, they've been seen just messing up tons of cars. They have messed up multiple vehicles. They're like, yeah, you can have the keys to my vintage convertible Mustang that's been rebuilt. The engine's been rebuilt. We customized it so that it uses some cool. It's got like Sirius XM, but aside from that, it's like period, like everything. And they gave this to the studio that has made those pathetically bad ports for years because they were cheap. That's what this was. This was a cheap money cash grab.
Well, you could have brought. I mean, you could have paid a bunch of modders who love the GTA franchise, and you probably wouldn't have had to pay them a lot because they were making mods for free anyway. So
I guess that's a part of it, but
I don't understand. I don't understand these companies.
Or they could have just spent more money. They could have spent some decent money because they had this plan for at least 2 years because that's how long Grove Street Games have been working on the game. They could have spent some decent money on the game that made them what they are. No, that takes effort. We can't do that.
Yeah,
we got to mess it up.
Yeah, there is something about, just, I don't know, these companies are weird. It's like, one moment it seems like, oh, they really care about their legacy franchises. And then the next minute it's like, no, they don't care about their legacy franchises. Like, I don't get it.
They messed it up.
Yeah.
That would be like Nintendo saying, hey guys, we're re-releasing all of the 2D Mario games in a collection, and we're putting it on the Switch, and it runs like absolute dog booty. That's what, and I know Nintendo wouldn't do that, okay? Like, even the technical issues I've had with Breath of the Wild and Xenoblade Chronicles 2, like, that was a one-off. Like, the bugs that are in the definitive edition trilogy, I mean, they're like, oh, this didn't launch in a state we wanted. Y'all know, you good and well that y'all knew those bugs were there. Y'all just lying. That's what that is. Y'all just don't want to. Y'all were like, hey, we'll release this and we'll give it to this cheap studio and they'll make it and people will just buy it and no one's going to say anything. They're bribing people to get it now. They're like, well, if someone pays out money. I'm like, no. I'm not paying jack squat. I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not doing it. They can go to heck as far as I'm concerned. I'm not doing it.
Stroll, is there anything you'd like to add?
I already had a quick listen to see you guys a little bit. So if anything, I'm already passing.
Alright. PS5 DualSense controller drift. Class action lawsuit filed against Sony. 3 months after the... 3 months after... Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I'm just saying I'm not going to be surprised where this is going to lead.
What I'm going to say is this. Sony, why does everything Nintendo do, why do you have to copy it? But in all seriousness, this, you know what this proves? This proves that all these companies, because the Xbox 360 is having the same issues. Not 360, the Xbox Series X. All three of these companies use the cheapest parts to make their controllers.
Part of it.
Why?
Part of it's dust, because I had the problem with the Pro Controller drifting, and I just blew into it, and it stopped. So
I guess so, man. I haven't had that issue with my Pro Controller, but I know with the Joy-Cons.
Yeah.
I got a friend. Well, not a friend. I heard that someone had a box of Joy-Cons that they just put like busted Joy-Cons into it. Just get new. It's the reason why Nintendo lowered the price of the Joy-Cons. Because remember, at one point they were charging $70 for 2 Joy-Cons. Yeah. $70 for 2 Joy-Cons. Can you believe that?
Yeah, you should have just bought yourself a nice steak dinner for that sort of money. Decent meal for that. Yeah, the controllers these days are the price of these controllers are out of control. Like, I remember, how much did a typical controller cost? Like $30-$40. First party controller, typical, no thrills controller.
It's
I'm not even going to say that far. They if they had used more expensive parts, I wouldn't be upset with them charging more. But they're using cheap parts.
Yeah,
they're using because that's why the Joy-Cons are having these issues. They went cheap. I'm like, why would you go cheap on something like this, man? Because what is the part of a system that you use the most?
The controller.
The stick.
No, this is the part that's gonna have the most wear and tear. So why would you cheap out on that?
Yeah.
Why?
At least, these don't feel like $80 controllers. That's for sure. At least not in my opinion.
They're more expensive than the games.
Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
I was gonna say the only thing that would take more damage as far as wear and tear would be the A button basically for most controllers.
I mean, I guess, but the control stick is gonna take a lot of the controller. I'm talking as a whole, holistically. As a controller, the controller take the most.
The second most would be the A button basically, but the most would be the stick.
And they couldn't even be bothered to. I mean, put some real money behind your dang controllers.
I just find it funny because it seemed like when, and I'm not defending Nintendo. They should have just paid those people their money. But, I just find it funny that it was such a big deal, the Joy-Con drift, when it came out. It was just absolute big deal. People were upset. People were mad. And then here comes the PS5 and the Xbox One Pro controller. And they have the same problem. And it's like, well, business as usual. I don't see the same amount of vitriol, or I don't see the same amount of anger towards the PS5 and the Xbox One. Or maybe I just haven't been paying attention. I
think people are equally as bad, equally as mad. I don't think this is a I don't think it's like only certain people aren't angry. I think people are equally as mad. I think the reason that Nintendo got the vitriol because Nintendo was at the time the only 9th gen console out.
Yeah.
So and when you're the first one out, you're the one who's going to get called out for stuff.
One of the hits.
Yeah, that's true.
And look, you should be called out because they're charging people ridiculously large amounts of money for something that is fundamental. Because I remember when they announced the price of the Joy-Cons, I'm like, the Joy-Cons cost more than an actual game, and you're charging people $70 for something that's just fundamentally falling apart in people's hands. And I remember the excuses people made. Well, it's got a lot of technology in it. So does my car. But if my steering wheel was breaking down as I was driving down the street, I'd be mad.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
That is not an excuse. If you bought a mouse, and as you were using it, the mouse is the part of your control of your computer that you're going to use the most of, aside from your keyboard. If you're using your mouse and your keyboard and it's falling apart while you're using it, you'd be mad, and you'd be mad. And you can't it's hard for them. They should know better. Okay, they did quality control. They know what they did.
Yep.
I don't want to hear, they're a company. Yeah, they should know better.
Yeah. And those DualSense controllers aren't cheap, especially, with resellers.
They're $70 too. Everybody's controller is $70. The only controller that I've seen that you can get for $50 consistently is just a basic Xbox Series X controller. You can get for $50. But it's still rocking AA batteries. So I mean, I don't know. Let me get this straight. You came out with a new controller and you still haven't figured out a way to have a better
control?
No, to have to have better batteries. Like, why are we still rocking AA batteries?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
Like that's just
yeah, just create a removable charge battery when the charge cells eventually fail. Why do we have to use AA batteries? That's kind of weird.
all the technologies in these controllers allegedly, and you can't even friggin'
Give us
come
some
up with
battery.
something better. You can't even come up with something friggin' better than AA batteries as the standard control system. Are you kidding me?
Hmm.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So, special report: the inside story of Blizzard's departure, and the company. Or wait, story of, yeah, Blizzard's departures and a company at a crossroads. So yeah, that's Blizzard drama. The Activision. I'd figure that would be higher on the list. It's number 17, but
17.
yeah, I'd figure that would be. But yeah, the Blizzard drama with all the abuse and the sexual allegations and the mistreat.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't think it's allegations at this point. I think it's just stuff they did that they haven't done
That
the
called out on yet?
they haven't done the they haven't completed the investigation yet.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, yeah, you did that.
It's sure it's the legalese, right?
Yeah. You know. And the more I hear about it, the worse it gets. I'm like, I don't know what to say. This is so
I was
terrible.
about to say, EA or Ubisoft wishes they were this evil. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
I don't think they wish they were this evil, but I mean, I remember when people say EA is the worst. Shoot. Look, EA is the only company of the big three third parties that comes out smelling like a rose. Because at EA, they're just gonna work you to death. At Activision, you literally, if you're a woman, you might get raped or propositioned improperly by someone who should know better.
Yeah.
As I said, EA and Ubisoft wishes they were as evil as Activision Blizzard.
You know.
I don't know about all that. They kind of want to, stay in some kind of good graces.
You know. And the thing is, Activision's obstinate about it, which is the worst part. They're like, yeah, what you gonna do about it? It's like, well, not buy your stuff. I mean, but to be fair, I haven't bought an Activision game in years, so I can't really be like, I'm not gonna buy your stuff because I don't buy your stuff anyway. I've never played World of Warcraft, never wanted to play World of Warcraft.
I'm the only one in this that have played something recent of theirs, which is Hearthstone, and I
Play that either.
quit I quit a good time ago.
The only game that I'm like, and the thing is, like, I remember when Activision Blizzard made games I liked, like Gun, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, but not anymore.
Yeah. All right. Number 16, Nintendo Direct, February 2021. Everything
Okay.
announced, including Legend of Zelda, Skyward Sword HD. Anybody pick that up? I mean, I picked it up, but
I didn't, because I don't really like Skyward Sword anyway.
yeah.
I'm just gonna keep, like,
I was gonna say Skyward Sword is basically the run of the litter in this, in the Zelda franchise.
not really. It's
No.
just, I know some people who love Skyward Sword. I'm just not one of them. For me, Skyward Sword's just one of those games where I'm just not really,
Invested.
Well, I think it's the same issue I have with Breath of the Wild. Is just there's a lot of things that are missing in that game. Like they spent so much time working on the motion control that you don't have as many dungeons as other Legend of Zelda games. They spent so much time working on things that I don't really care about. That the things I do care about just don't exist in a large amount. They reuse a lot of areas, which I never like Legend of Zelda games that reuse a lot of areas. Like I want to go. It's supposed to be an adventure. How can something be an adventure where I'm going to the same mall over and over and over again? That's not an adventure.
It feels Metroidvania.
Well, I mean, the Legend of Zelda series that's just action adventure, and action adventure games do that a lot. So that's not really like a complaint I have. But my problem is that I shouldn't be going to the same areas over and over and over and over and over again. But now this area, it's like, and I know why they did that because they spent all their time trying to get the motion control to work. That the other stuff suffered because of it.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And I'm not happy about that. Like Breath of the Wild, they spent so much time trying to get that physics engine to work that other stuff suffered because of it.
Yeah.
And I'm personally not happy about it. Everyone's like, "Oh man, I'm looking forward to Breath of the Wild 2." Well, maybe they'll have real dungeons this time. Maybe they'll have more than like 7 enemies. Wouldn't that be cool?
Very funny. If anything, it's more like 10.
Still pathetic. But they had to get that physics engine to work, so there's that. But no, I'm not. I'm like, I don't really feel that strong. Like, they showed off Skyward Sword. I'm like, I'm underwhelmed.
Yeah. Skip down to number 12. Cyberpunk 2077 1.2 patch notes release includes hundreds of changes. Following the troubled release of Cyberpunk 2077 on PS4 and Xbox One, CD Projekt Red announced a patch 1.2 that should fix most of the most of the prominent problems gamers are facing on last-gen consoles. It was no surprise that the readers were eager to read about the specifics of the patch when they were announced. 3 months later, the catalog for the patch includes hundreds of bullet points tackling issues with gameplay, quests, the open world, and much more. It's like, God, hundreds of fixes that they had to.
Still wasn't well done.
Wow.
Yeah, I thought Bethesda had bugs.
Well, I mean, let's keep it real. The problem with this game is that they basically is that they rushed to get it out. The game really, Cyberpunk 2077 should have been delayed another year and come out like in February this year.
Yeah.
And it probably would have been a better game had they done that.
Yeah.
But they wanted to get it out to meet a deadline, and I mean, what game or has been rushed to meet a deadline has ever been good?
I think the crickets would say only one.
I would say none. There isn't a game that I can think of that was rushed to meet a deadline that was good.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of them turn out terrible.
So, but they look. I will give CD Projekt Red this much credit. They have been fixing it. The people that they have doing PR for it have been terrible. Like the guy that was on Twitch and was like, "Well, these other fantasy games don't have police chases, so our game doesn't have our game doesn't have either." I'm like, that is not the point. Like, you're completely missing the point. Like, I don't get this.
So, number 11. Bethesda apologizes for Starfield Xbox exclusivity. It can be frustrating for PlayStation owners. So, during E3, I think it was E3 2021, Starfield was the CGI trailer, of course, was revealed to be exclusive for the Xbox, and that made a lot of people hurt. There were a lot of hurt feelings that day. So
Yeah, I have a question. Why should a first-party company make games for their competition?
yeah, exactly. And
Like, that's when people say, hey, Nintendo should put their games on other people's consoles. Why?
I mean, I find it hilarious because after the acquisition was final, there were a lot of PlayStation guys going online saying, Bethesda's trash anyway. All their games are trash, even though they were, mindlessly playing Elder Scrolls, for since time immemorial. Probably bought 3 copies because they keep re-releasing that game.
Yeah.
So
they probably bought. What they did was that they bought Skyrim on the PS3, then they bought Skyrim on the PS4, then they bought Skyrim on the PS5.
Yep.
As a matter of fact, Bethesda already said they make most of their money, especially from their Creation Club, from the PlayStation, because on the PlayStation, unlike the Xbox Series X and the Xbox One, where you could kind of download mods, like fan-made mods from like modding communities, like if you wanted to, but like Sony closed their ecosystem off, so you have to use their crappy Creation Club, which is expensive and overpriced.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, those PlayStation fanboys, they're salty.
Yep.
They are salty.
Oh yeah, I just find it hilarious too. It's like, oh well, now Bethesda games are trash, and yet you guys are praising games like Doom, like Elder Scrolls, Yeah, it's just how it goes in the gaming community.
I mean, as anyone who's a Bethesda, old-handed Bethesda game should tell you. First of all, if you're playing a Bethesda game on console, you already done effed up. The only way to play a Bethesda game is on PC, where you can download mods to fix how bad their games are.
Yeah.
But that's just me. But number 2.
10.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla adds fan requested feature.
Yeah.
After how long?
And fans
but
don't
charging you for it.
Yeah. Fans aren't happy with how it is. Update 1.2.0 for Assassin's Creed Valhalla added transmogrification, or the ability to change the appearance of a gear while maintaining its original stats. However, players were displeased with its implementation, as Ubisoft decided transmogrifying gear would cost 50 in-game silver, and the series' previous entry, Assassin's Creed Odyssey modification was free. Yeah, Ubisoft was like, we could actually charge people for skins. I think we're gonna do that.
It's not enough that you bought this game and that you put hundreds of hours grinding in order to get good items. We're also gonna make you pay us.
Yeah, that's right.
You're gonna make you pay us to get other stuff too.
One of the
because
worst.
We're Ubisoft.
One of the worst DLC trends in gaming is skins. It's charging people for skins, skin packs, It's just I can defend charging people for characters for say fighting games because that's development time and also balancing, but
Among
skins.
other things.
Even more egregious is when they charge you for colors, not just
You know
skins,
what?
the colors.
I'm gonna take it further. I don't even think it's about like I'm gonna encapsulate all of it. When companies charge you for things that used to be a standard feature in previous installments, they take out stuff so that they can charge you more. Apple is notorious at this. Hey, remember when you just plug in a 3.5 jack in order to listen to your stuff or USB? We're taking that out.
Yeah.
Now you got to buy our earbuds, our AirPods, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that. Like games are doing it now. Hey, remember how you used to be able to just create any character you wanted? If you unlocked a race, you could then create a new character using that race. Well, now you got to pay us for it. I hate that. I really do. That is so offensive.
Oh yeah, it's highly yeah. Yeah.
When you call them on it, they're like, "Well, we want to make it easy. You can still unlock it, but we with a subtitle that they don't say out loud. But we made it so hard for you to grind in order to unlock it that it's just easier just to spend the money to unlock it."
Yeah. Battlefield.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible. So number 9, Battlefield 6 images allegedly leak ahead of official reveal. And, well, obviously we know that Battlefield 6 is Battlefield 2042. And that turned out to be a hot piece of garbage, too.
Yep, another rushed game to meet a deadline.
Oh, man. Oh, they should have just left it in the cooker for a few more months. Actually, that game probably needed to be in the cooker for like another year.
A year, yeah.
The game
They
was
should
a
have,
mess.
because that's not an annual game. They could have pushed it another year.
Yeah, yeah. And that Frostbite engine is a mess, too.
It is.
Say, when is that engine gonna get a retirement party?
Well, at this point, EA has put too much money into it to retire it. They're gonna have to let it go for another maybe 5 years, probably.
Yeah, it's an in-house engine, and it seems like, remember people were talking about how a lot of these companies were just going to start using in-house engines and move away from Unreal. Well, it seems like people are slowly coming back, or it seems like people aren't ready to leave Unreal quite yet.
Well, the issue is that it costs, like, the issue with these in-house engines is that, if you're a game company where all you make is one or two types of games and the in-house engine you use really works well on those one or two types of games, an in-house engine is great. But if you're making multiple types of games where different engines are good for different types of things,
You need
I've been on podcasts with people who are like, no, you can use any engine. I'm like, no, different engines are good for different types of things. Unreal is a catch-all engine. It's not great at It's not great at anything, but it's not terrible at anything either. It's okay at doing everything. Unity is another catch-all engine. Yeah, if you want great physics, you got to go with
Havoc?
CryEngine.
Oh, CryEngine, yeah.
CryEngine or Havoc, right? That's physics. If you want stuff to explode and you want to see the particle effects, that's the CryEngine right there.
Yeah, and some of these companies, they'll combine various things from engines, which sounds like an absolute nightmare. But
yeah, I mean that's why Bethesda's Elder Scrolls and Fallout games are so trash, because they took NetImmerse and then they just keep on Frankensteining more code onto NetImmerse instead of just overhauling the engine and overhauling the core engine and straighten out their code. They don't want to do that. They just keep on Frankensteining more junk on top of it.
What the Bethesda engine done?
That's what I said. That's what Bethesda does with their core engine for their open world games. Because NetImmerse was an engine that was created for MMOs so that you could have multiple players in an instance and it wouldn't crash the game.
Yeah.
which is perfect for an open world game where you have a lot of NPCs. The problem is that, which is what NetImmerse, which is the core engine of what Bethesda is. The problem is that they did all this other stuff on top of that to all this other stuff they keep on Frankensteining into the engine, and that's why those games come out. That's why Bethesda games come out so buggy and broken. Um, Plus, they never spend a lot of time actually. They've never overhauled their engine. And what they should have been doing when they were selling all those copies of Skyrim again and again and again, those 5 years where they kept on re-releasing Skyrim, they should have paid a software engineering firm to train their developers to help them overhaul that engine. And Bethesda wouldn't do it. So,
We don't want
now
to pay,
everyone's suffering with it.
Yeah, we don't want to pay the extra money for a little bit of convenience. That and paying the extra money for convenience ultimately could pay for itself in the end. So I don't know.
Yeah. Like the first place that I bought when I started my business, I literally paid like extra money to have the kitchen overhauled, to have the stuff in the kitchen overhauled to make it easier to clean. So everything, you can pull it out and clean behind it and clean under it. Like everything's like designed to be modular, so that stuff can be taken out and plugged back in. Because kitchens of that, as old as the building's like 40 years old. Kitchens in that era were completely different, where everything was like, okay, well, we gotta, like everything's kind of like hard to get to. If you have a spill, it's just gonna stay there forever, basically. That type of thing. And if you pay the extra to have stuff done right, it pays dividends in the back on the back end. They don't get that.
Yeah.
They do not get that. Bethesda should be called the company where everything is just, well, that's good enough.
Yeah.
This is good enough. This engine, it's good enough. And now they had another chance under Microsoft to overhaul that engine. A company that's built out of software engineering. If anyone can help them overhaul that engine and make it run better, it's Microsoft. Nope. They're still using the same engine.
Yeah.
So people shouldn't be surprised if Starfield runs like absolute butt cheeks.
Oh man. Yeah.
I don't want anyone. Oh man, this game runs poorly. You're surprised it runs poorly?
Yeah.
Oh man, you're funny.
Not even the bags of money if Microsoft can save this game.
I mean, I won't go that far, but they definitely could spend some. They could definitely spend some money because, here's the thing: they have the money. Microsoft literally, Bethesda could literally say, look, okay, we're going to support Starfield, but our next game, we're just going to overhaul this engine. It needs to be overhauled. It's something we've been putting off and putting off and putting off. It's got to be done. For our sanity, so that the next generation of developers who come into the company will be able to make better games.
Yeah.
But they won't do it. They will not do it.
Nope.
I wouldn't be surprised if that thing lasted as long as the next game generation.
So, PlayStation Plus number 8, PlayStation Plus March, announce Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is kind of funny. So, Final Fantasy VII Remake was one of the games on their PlayStation Plus, for those free games they give the members PS Plus. And that game was barely a year old, and it already ended up that game not sell as well as they hoped. Remember, this game was made and published by the same company who published Tomb Raider 2013 and saw it as a colossal failure, even though that sold 6 million copies.
That is true.
Over 6 million copies. So.
That is true. But you also have to realize that, to quote Satoru Iwata, please understand that Square Enix is not SquareSoft. Okay?
Yep.
The quality of their work is not at the level that it used to be back in the day. And the sooner you understand that, everyone understands that, the happier they'll be. You know,
Yeah.
and the happier you'll be. I mean, that's just the way it is. You know, I know some people are going to get angry about it. Oh, don't say that. But they aren't, the PlayStation fans. I mean, the Sony fans are. I mean, the not the Sony fans.
You're trying to find words, aren't you?
No, the Final Fantasy fans, the Square Enix fans are going to be like, well, I can't believe this, but like Square Enix is not what it used to be. All right.
Yeah.
It's sadly too true.
Like I remember if someone said, "Man, this is a Square Enix game. Oh, this is going to be quality." I didn't have to ask if it was going to be quality. We knew if someone said it's SquareSoft, it's going to be good. Now, if someone says a new Square Enix game is coming out, it's like, well, probably going to suck.
Actually, I would say look for the rule of if it's too beautiful to be on screen, it's gonna be as cracky as Final Fantasy 13.
No, the prettier a new Square Enix game looks, the more that game is probably going to suck. That's what I figured out. If it's pretty, it's probably going to be trash.
Yeah.
Name me a current gen current gen Square Enix game that looked great that was also played great.
I think the crickets would be the only ones trying to look for answers. Because I don't see any.
But, I could be wrong. I'm just some guy.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Amazon cancels the Lord of the Rings MMORPG.
Makes sense.
First announced 2019, Amazon's Lord of the Rings MMO was canceled in April 2021. Months earlier, co-developer Leo was acquired by Tencent. They seem to be acquiring a lot of people these days. The cancellation then came as a result of a failed contract negotiation between Amazon and Tencent. It wasn't all bad news for the series fans in 2021. However, we learned much more about Amazon's Lord of the Rings TV show and the upcoming Golem video game, both of which will be released in 2022. Yeah, I don't know what to think of it because I'm not really into Lord of the Rings. So
Here's all I'm going to say is this. Amazon has barely gotten the New World it took them to run.
yeah,
I don't trust them with another MMO.
yeah.
And they were it was immature for them to announce that game.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have a development document. They didn't have a general outline of what they wanted. They had nothing. They just announced. They said, "Hey, we got the rights to Lord of the Rings, and we're going to do something." It's like, well, I mean, shouldn't you have like an idea?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not really into MMOs, but I mean, if it was up to me, if I was going to do a Lord of the Rings MMO, I first of all would not do a Lord of the Rings MMO based upon the age of the books, because I mean, like, it's been done to death. Do something earlier.
Yeah.
where you can do more interesting stuff. That would have
Yeah.
been more interesting. But it's Amazon. They're greedy, and
Yeah. And they
that's
probably
it.
just wanted to do something everybody knew about. So I don't.
Yeah, that's what it was. They're like, we have the rights, and we're going to do something with it, and we don't care if you like it or not.
Yeah.
We don't care if you like it or not. We're gonna do what we want to do, and if you don't like it, well, lump it.
Well, number 6, Resident Evil Village actress Jeanette Moss dies, age 39. Resident Evil Village actress Jeanette Moss died in January 2021 at the age of 39. Also played multiple characters in Village through most notably, she portrayed Cassandra's uh, Dimitri or something, one of Lady D's 3 daughters. I don't know this. Are any of you familiar with that name at all? Or
Lady Demetrius.
no, the voice actress.
Well, I think she played. I don't think she played Lady D. I think she was the voice actress for another character.
Yeah,
Because Lady D is the one that Capcom was like, "Oh, we didn't know she'd be such a." You knew making that thick Amazon hot chick was gonna. You knew what was gonna happen. Y'all knew how people were gonna feel about it. Because I'm not gonna lie, she is hot. I'm not gonna. If you like thick chicks, it's like she killed me, but it was worth it. Worth it. A hot woman can get away with a lot more than an ugly one. Anyway,
Your line.
it's true. A hot woman can get away with a lot more than an ugly woman. A hot woman can curse a man out, and a man's like, "Look, take this, I might get some." A other woman can curse a man out, and a man will be like, "Get away from me, Ugmo." Ugmo. I'm censoring myself from what a man would really say, but
Yeah.
my point is that they would totally do that. But yeah, I'm like, me personally, I'm just kind of like, I feel sorry that she died, and she was only 39. I mean, that's young.
Yeah.
That's very young. That's not old. That's young.
I guess she. These are the movies or whatever she's known for. Your sister. Let's see, what is that? My effortless brilliance. I don't know. These all sound like chick flicks or something. Resident Evil Village, which is kind of a standout.
That was her big thing.
Yeah, Resident Evil Village, and then Secret Island Adventure. So I guess
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I haven't heard. I've heard of Your Sister, but I guess Resident Evil Village was her big breakout. Weird. All right, number 5. Polly has a gorgeous Stardew Valley MMO with a heavy WoW vibe. Have you guys played this game?
Nope.
Never heard. Have you even heard of it?
Played Stardew Valley. I didn't know they were making something that's like Stardew Valley, but with a World of Warcraft vibe. Didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't heard of this game until now.
Recently.
Well, I mean, we already talked about this. Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition, officially announced. Number 3, Call of Duty fans reveal why they aren't buying Vanguard, which is obvious because of the. Wait, we'll read
Aggressive
the.
microtransactions. The different modes are broken.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it.
yeah. Typical affair. Netflix gaming service. Number two. Netflix gaming service now available in the U.S. Netflix officially launches its mobile gaming service in the U.S. this past November. The service, available on iOS and Android devices, launches with the game Stranger Things 1984, Stranger Things 3, the game. Uh, car, uh, Card Blast Tester, and Shooting Hoops. 5 additional games have since been added to the catalog, including the Match 3 Puzzle, Nittins, and Off Road Racer, Asphalt, uh, Asphalt Extreme, and mini golf games, Wonder Putt Forever. So, yeah, there. I remember hearing Netflix launching a game service, and sorry,
That's okay.
launching a game service, but it turns out it's just a mobile game service, so nothing special. What do you guys think?
Uh, I think it's probably going to get discontinued soon. Because I mean, when you think Netflix, you're not thinking, "Oh man, I gotta play."
I
I
feel
gotta
like
play. Netflix. You think of streaming. You don't think of
Games.
games. Yeah,
Yeah, I think.
yeah. Even though Netflix has had some game-based things that have been pretty cool, like that Black Mirror episode that's like a choose your own adventure type thing. That I forget what it was called, 1984. That's like a beat 'em up. It's a legitimately good game based on their IP, but it's just
It's also. They were also. I also heard rumblings about Netflix starting a game studio, and I just think they're probably looking for another revenue stream.
yeah, yeah. That's what it is. They want another revenue stream. I'm not against Netflix coming up with a new revenue stream. My problem is just that uh like
they're
how
not.
they're handling it is just kind of weird.
Yeah,
It's like, what do you do? It's like either you're all in your. They're pulling like a Google approach where it's like, okay, if you're taking this seriously, then go all the way. Don't, you know,
Don't half rear end it.
yeah, don't go haphazardly. Either go all the way or don't do anything.
yeah.
Like, well, we might, it's just kind of mobile gaming. I don't know.
Um. All right. Now the final big story of the year. The internet dubs Mario 30. Oh, the internet dubs March 31st, the day Mario died. 2021 was most 2021's most read news story. The IGN covered the greatly exaggerated demise of Nintendo's mustache mascot. In 2020, Nintendo announced a number of new games and products in celebration of Super Mario's 35th anniversary. Bizarrely, Nintendo said it would stop selling those games and products, including Super Mario 3D All Stars, on March 31st, 2021, without sufficient explanation from Nintendo as to why sales will be cut off on that date. The internet took matters into its own hands and dubbed March 31st Yeah, March 31st, the day Mario dies.
I mean, it is a bit clickbaity, but if you want to say the day Mario dies, I mean, you could say it's the day that Nintendo releases that Mario movie with Illumination as Chris Pratt as Mario. You could say that's the day Mario dies. You could say that the day Nintendo did that 3D All Stars that didn't include Mario Galaxy 2.
Yeah.
I mean, look, okay, Nintendo's a company. They're going to do whatever they want to do. Nintendo does things that make me mad all the time. Not all the time, but they do it. They do. I'm not going to say they do it frequently. They do things that I find puzzling and upsetting. But I mean, like you having, this is terrible. Because here's the thing: we'll always have an old game. Okay, we'll always have Mario Galaxy 2, Mario Galaxy 1, Super Mario 64. You always have old games. If you don't like the way the new games are going, don't buy them. Try something else.
Yeah.
There's options.
I mean, the more I hear about Breath of the Wild 2, the more I'm like, I don't need this game. You don't need to have everything. Like, I don't know why people think they need to buy everything. You don't.
Yeah.
All the troll baiting aside, I just find this silly.
What, silly that people would feel that way, or silly that people
Fire
that
idea up.
well, I mean, look, like I said, for a lot of people, Mario is a childhood icon. I get it. But on the other end of the spectrum, like I didn't get Mario 3D All Stars because I was like, okay, they have the original Mario 64. They haven't added anything to it. It's basically just a base port of the base game. Which, to be fair, I mean, like, okay, you're gonna. This is the anniversary of Mario. I mean, they could have. I mean, even as an unlock, they could have said, yeah, and as an unlock, if you beat this game, you get the Mario 64 DS optimized to run on a console. That would have been cool. They didn't do any of that, so I was like, no, I'm cool. And no Mario Galaxy 2, Mario Sunshine, and Mario Sunshine. So I was like, okay, I don't need this. Not to mention, I have the originals, so it kind of is a moot point. And I think we called it. I was like, the only reason they're doing this is so that they can sell it later as a single thing or add it to their online if they have the N64. That's what they did.
Yeah, they charge
So
too
if you paid $60 for this, you could have held out and paid $50 for the thing. But the choice is yours.
Yeah,
I mean, I have the original, so I'm good either way. But
yeah,
I get where people are going.
They charge too much for that package. Before we close out, is there anything from CES that caught your attention? Probably talk more about it next week, but this cast has gone out about 2 hours, so.
That really expensive, the $199 AMD graphics card that's going to run out as soon as they put it on sale.
Oh, the 6500 XT?
Yeah.
Because that's going to be obviously lower end card. It's going to be sought after. It's be fun trying to fight for one of those. NVIDIA announced their 3090 Ti. They teased it. I don't think that's going to get scalped. There might be scalpers, but I don't.
They're going to scalp all of it. If it's a graphics card, it's going to get scalped.
Oh, the thing about the 3090 Ti is going to be super expensive. So it's going to be. And
scalpers will find a way. They'll get two of them and then up the price by like 30, 40, 50%. Heck, probably even more. So if the card costs like $7.99, $6.99, they'll charge like $1,000. Like they'll charge over $1,000.
I'm because the 3090s, that's like 1,200. That's a $1,200 card base price. Like that's MSRP. It's like $1,200, I think. So the 3090 Ti is gonna be like 1,500 probably.
So they're gonna do it because they're greedy and they want to make that money.
They want to make that crypto coin.
Well, the reason I don't think it's going to get scalped as heavily is because it's not. It's going to be out of most people. Even at MSRP, it's out of most people's budget.
I think those scalpers will find a way. They'll borrow money in order to buy those cards and then up the price and flip them for 100% return. They'll do it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, if it's not for crypto, then yeah, they're gonna flip it.
No, it's not. See, the problem with scalping is that you've got crypto people getting graphics cards, but then you have normal scalpers who are buying graphics cards and jacking up the prices. And the only people who are really able to get their hands on them are crypto people who don't care. They just need the GPU.
Yeah.
And once you've used a card for crypto, you can't really resell it and use it for something else. So
not unless you basically recycle it. And I'm not sure how good.
Well, reuse means you sell it and then someone else can use it for something.
Yeah, as I said, the only way you'll get any value out of those memory cards, those cards, is going to be for recycling.
Yeah. It's not like you can reuse them or anything.
Yeah, the thing about the and also apparently the 3090 Ti is going to be it's not gonna sip on power, it's gonna chug power. That's gonna be fun for whoever's got the money. Obviously, if you got the money to buy a 3090 Ti, you probably got the money to pay your electric bill. So yeah, have fun with that.
Yeah, I can't get mad at people. Look, if you have the money, you deserve to build whatever PC you want.
No, I just find it funny because I remember the 10 series cards. Like, it was impressive for the performance and the fact that it didn't use as much power. And then the RTX cards come out. It's like, oh well, we're gonna have to use more power again. It's like, darn it. Oh well.
Fun.
Anyway, anything else?
Their money, they can do whatever they want to.
Yeah. Anything you guys like to pimp out before we wrap it up?
I think this is at least a good time for our own advertisements. And if anything, that would be thank you for joining us on Project Console. Don't forget that we also got the BS Busters coming up this week, following tomorrow. Starting tomorrow and on Saturdays.
Yeah, that's it. And nothing else to say.
Yeah, nothing else to say. All right, this has been another episode of Project Console.